Hello, everyone. This is Coach Ceelo, and this is the No Bullshit Six-Figure Sales Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 actionable items you can work on to level up your game and 7 questions to immediately help you put money in your pocket right now. So the 5 steps to take action are skill set, grind, network, passion, and personal experience, right? These are the skill sets that you need. Now, I want to break it down a little bit, and I want you to think of this in terms of where your age range is. They're all important, and no matter where you are in life, all of these apply. But if you're between your 20s and 30s, what I most want you to focus on, and mindset's super important. You're always going to focus on mindset, but what I most want you to focus on right now is skill set and grind. You can outwork just about anybody and outwork just about anything. So make up in grind what you lack in skill. I want you to work harder than everybody else. I want you to be the first person in and the last person out. That alone is going to give you the edge on everything that you're currently trying to do. And if you're in your 20s or 30s, you got the energy to do it. If you're in your 30s and 40s, you still got the energy to do it. And while you're doing that, you're going to work on your skill set. You're going to work on all the different processes that you need in scale. Here's the thing. Do you have a sales process? Do you have a sales process? I'm not talking about your company. I'm not talking about your industry, right? If you've got your own sales process, no matter what you've been trained in, no matter where you go, whether you change companies, whether you change industries, I got news for you. It never changes. You need to have if you think you don't have a process or you feel like you don't need a process, that's exactly why you're not at where you want to be. So make sure you hone that down. You break it down into sections of exactly what your sales process is. I'm not going to cover that now. I'm going to cover that maybe in another one. But if you're telling me right now that you don't know what your sales process is, you need to work on that. And you need to work on your skill set and on getting better every single day and outgrind everybody. Right now, just make up in grind what you lack in skill, and the skill will come. I promise you that. It'll come. Now, if you're in your 30s and in your 40s, all right, well, mindset definitely comes in. Skills, you continue to work on your skill. Everybody knows about the 10,000 hours, or I should hope you do. It takes 10,000 hours to master any skill, whether you're a pianist, whether you're a golf player, and yes, even a salesman. So you put in those 10,000 hours, and you are going to be at a mastery level of sales. And you can decide to put those 10,000 hours over 10 years, or you can decide to put those 10,000 hours within 1 year. But you got to put in the 10,000 hours no matter what. So do that and start doing it as early as you can. Now, it doesn't matter if you're older. I got you guys. I'm going to cover all of you. But I'm just saying, if you're young, you have that advantage. Put in the hours early so you're making the money early, and we can get you there faster. Does that make sense? If you're in 30s or 40s, you want to work on your mindset. You want to work on your skills. Now you've got something that you probably didn't have before. It's much bigger, and it's a network. Your network is your net worth, right? How you help people is how they help you. Now, what I'm not saying is don't monetize your network. I mean, if it happens, it happens. What I'm saying is reach out to your network all the time. Reach out to them. Talk to them. See how they're doing. See how their families are doing. And always think of how can I help them? Don't ask yourself, what can they do for me? That'll happen by itself. If you ever go to a networking event, you know what the one way to distinguish yourself from everybody else is? When you go to a networking event, everybody's trying to pitch you on something. Everybody's trying to sell you on something. So you do the complete opposite. You say, hi, how you doing? My name is so-and-so, and I'm a connector. I know a lot of people. How can I help you? What are you looking for? What does your ideal client look like? People remember that because you tried to help them rather than try and pitch them. You build your network and you help people out. People will naturally reach out to you. If you're building a new business, they're going to reach out to you. If they need something, they're going to remember you. That network is everything. Every huge deal, every business I've been involved with, anything I've ever done has almost always landed on my lap because of my network. So building the network is important. And then the final one is the grind. You don't stop the grind when you're 30 to 40. You're still grinding. You have to grind. But what happens is if your skill set's on point, if your mindset's on point and your network's on point, guess what? It gets easier. The grind is less because a lot of things are coming to you because you set the ground from when you were in your 20s and 30s. So that's really, really important. Now, when you're in your 40s and 50s, we're still working on mindset. We're still working on network. Now you've got something that you didn't have before. And that's personal experience. I mean, you've been creating it over time. I want you guys to understand something. You don't have to be the sharpest tool in the shed. You just have to be authentic. You just have to be real, right? But there's two things here when you're talking about being on point, right? There is intelligence and then there is wisdom. And intelligence, there's some that's natural that comes with you and some that's just book smarts, right? But wisdom, that only comes with personal experience. That only comes with time. It's the discernment of everything that's happened and everything that you've learned up until that moment. And so now you look at things differently. And that's something that you're going to be able to leverage in your 40s and 50s that you didn't quite have as much. You didn't have enough data to be able to leverage before then. Doesn't mean you weren't smart. You could have been intelligent as hell, but wisdom hasn't kicked in yet. You didn't have enough data. You didn't have enough information. You didn't have enough discernment. That's why a lot of the times the grand majority of people that are in CEO positions, that are leaders of state and leaders of countries, they want them already with some gray hair. Why? Because it's not just that they were super intelligent. It's not just all the accomplishments, but they've been through some things. They've been in and out of some things, and they've learned some things, and that created the wisdom. Then 50s and 60s, now you're talking about network. Still, that network's going to be with you forever once you built it, right? You've got the personal experience and the wisdom. Now, if you didn't incorporate this earlier, passion. So it depends. Some people are very, very lucky and their passion project is also how they make a living. And if you were able to do that at a young age, congratulations. Not everybody's that lucky. It all depends on how your life works out, right? But if not, usually by the time you're in your 50s and 60s, if you followed some of these paths that I'm giving you, you're already wildly successful at that point. And you can work on passion projects just because it's your passion project. Now, here's the funny thing. It's going to end up becoming another stream of income, I promise you. Because when you're successful, all of these things work out. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It's going to happen no matter what. But passion now becomes, and that, because how you do one thing is how you do everything, that passion is now going to bleed over on everything else. And it's going to make it amazing. So let's talk about that again. I want you to focus on these skills. And if you can focus on all of them, focus on all of them, no matter what your age gap is or whatever, age tier you fall into, is your skill set, your grind, your network, your passion, and your personal experience. Now, I made you guys a promise, and I told you that I was going to give you the 7 questions to add to your sales process that'll put money into your pocket today. And this is absolutely 100% true. So when if you're dealing with front-facing customers, if you're doing B2B, if you're working over the phone, none of that matters. This applies to all of them. I promise you that if you incorporate these 7 questions, you are immediately going to start seeing some results. Number 1, what do you expect to clarify or resolve with our meeting or call today? This is the old, how can I help you? But it's a completely different frame and a completely different way of positioning it. Number one, you're setting an expectation that they're calling you for a reason, and it's letting them know that you want to find out what that reason is so that you can help them. But it's also setting the expectation that this is a results-driven conversation. I am going to help you solve your problem. And so there needs to be an expectation. This isn't tire kicking. We're not talking about, I'm trying to find things out. I'm trying to think things through. You are a professional that's going to help somebody solve their problem. So what do you expect to clarify or resolve with our meeting or call today? That's number one. Number two, how long have you had that problem or situation? Guys, sales is just fixing problems. No problem, no sale, ever. So you need to help them discover what that problem is. And now you want to know how long have they been hurting? Because when it comes time to ask them to make a decision, that's a leverage point. Do you want to continue to hurt? It's been hurting this long. A lot of the times, the greatest objection that you're ever going to have is helping somebody overcome themselves. It's helping them get out of their own way so that you can help them. Now, in order to do that, there's a lot involved. There has to be trust. There has to be respect. They have to see you as a leader. There's many things involved in that. But the bottom line is I'm giving you 7 questions that will help you kind of short circuit that. All right? So how long have you had that problem or situation? Number 3, what other problems or issues are being exacerbated by not resolving that situation? So by having this problem here, problem A, it's creating other problems. What are those problems? Well, maybe we're not making enough money. Well, if we're not making enough money, what else is happening? Well, then we've got problems with the bills. We've got problems with the business. We've got problems with the family. We've got problems with the wife. You want to know how this problem is creating other problems all around them. Why? Because you're expanding the sphere of that problem. You're making it bigger. Now, are you lying? No. They're giving you this information. You're just helping them connect the dots. You got to understand, you ever seen the horses with those things that they put them on where they can't see either way? Most people live their whole life like that. And they do that so they can continue living because the pain is so great that they don't want to have to face the reality that things are messed up and that they have to change it. And so your job is to help them take off the blinders and realize shit's bad. And we got to fix it. So you want to know what other problems are being created by this problem that they're calling you for. Because guess what? If you help them solve this problem that's at the root of all the others, guess what you just did? Like a domino effect, you just started helping them fix a whole bunch of other problems. And by the way, if you did that, what do you think is the likelihood they're going to come to you for more things in the future? Absolutely, right? Let's talk about the next one. How much have you budgeted towards fixing that problem or situation? Now, we're doing 2 things here. You're asking them what their budget is, but you're implying that something is going to be done about that today. Because if I'm asking you what your budget is, that means that I'm expecting you to have that available. You're letting them know that you're a professional, that you're not someone that's going to be messed with, and that you're going to help them. But they're not wasting your time. You're going to help them solve their problem. You genuinely have a concern for them. You genuinely care that you're going to help them. But they got to pony up. They got to be honest. They got to tell you what their budget is, and you got to help them do it. Number 5, on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is fixing this problem or situation? How important is it? Because you told me that not only is it doing this, but it's creating all of these other issues around you. I would assume it's pretty high. And if it's not, you need to find out why. Is it because they don't think they've got the money to solve the problem? Because I'm going to tell you something. After you've asked these questions, you probably already established that they can't afford not to solve this problem. And it needs to be done today. Number 6, how soon would it make the most sense to resolve this problem or situation? Now they're closing themselves. You gave them, you extracted all this information and you just had them. Look, sometimes a person just has to hear themselves say it. All right. In sales, anything that you say is going to have resistance because they know they're talking to a salesperson, right? So anything you say is going to have resistance. Anything they say is truth because it's coming from within. So what you've done with these questions is you're having them say these things and you're having them realize what all these problems are. And so now you're just going to ask them, how soon would it make the most amount of sense to resolve this? And guess what the most amount of sense would mean? The most amount of sense means right now, because you just pointed out and they just reiterated how important this problem is, how big it is, and all the other things that are related to it. And then finally, you're going to tie it down. And you're going to say, if I could solve this problem for you right now, do you have the means and the ability to do it? You've kind of already established it, but you want them to verbally commit. Guys, those are the 7 questions. I promise you, you take those with you and you do it, you're going to remember me. I'm Coach Ceelo, and this is the No Bullshit 6-Figure Sales Podcast.